All right, everybody, welcome to Red Grace Media. It's good to see you guys. Another episode of Red Grace Live here with Micah Whitehead, as always. Micah, it's good to see you. Micah, real quick before we start here, I was going to do a little intro and talk about our subject matter today, but why are we doing this episode today?
Do I have to say?
Yep.
Well, just a couple hours ago, I found myself with my wife walking into Costco, and as one does in the suburbs, and every single person in the parking lot was an Arab man walking in front of, in shorts, a t-shirt, and whatever, with a wife walking in almost total, what do you call it, seclusion or whatever.
Yep. Niqab.
Yes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word.
He covered his wife in a tent.
Yes. As one friend used to say, a beekeeper's outfit. And so I immediately text Emilio and I was like, are we being invaded? Like the Costco up near Emilio, it's like there's a mosque right next door. It makes perfect sense where you'd see all that. The one I'm in, I live more kind of in a more Indian is the nationality that we have more of internationals from, but it's just slowly turning more and more Muslim and more just out and about.
Hindu, Muslim.
Right.
Yep. 100%.
Whenever you see a white, Hispanic, or black family at my Costco, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Wouldn't have expected to see them here.
Right. I didn't know they still had. I didn't know they still allowed to keep those around. Yes.
That was Emilio that said that. Yes.
Well, and Micah, here's the thing: is your experience is just like mine, and like you said, my Costco is right next to a brand new mosque. It's in Frisco, Texas, and that mosque is a very serious mosque. I've seen the Muslims that come in and out of there. They're serious Muslims. They take Islam seriously. They believe in a literal understanding of the Quran and the Muslim sources. But you are not wrong in being alarmed and in noticing something that, well, frankly, that you noticed because I think it's a natural instinct when you look around and the next thing you know, you realize the demographics around you have completely shifted. You're no longer surrounded by native Texans. And like you said, native Texans of different ethnicities, whether white or black or brown or whatever. But now we are living in an epicenter of a globalist agenda, just to cut right to it. A radical population replacement effort to completely replace the population of North Texas. And it is happening at a rate that is unbelievable. When you start understanding the demographics of what's happening, and you realize Texas is right at the top as far as Islamic immigration, Hindu immigration, Eastern immigration, African immigration, because African is not just places like Sudan or the Congo or something, but it's also Egypt and other predominantly Muslim populated areas. And it's changing the face of America. And there is no doubt about it. I mean, there are a couple of accounts, and I'm going to show a video on X here from one account. But there are accounts on X and other places that all they do is sound the alarm on what's happening both locally and nationally, and showing you videos from around the world, especially Europe, and the complete Islamization of the West. And so today's show is focused on that very thing. But anyway, you're right, Micah, to be alarmed that your friendly neighborhood Costco or whatever, Walmart or what have you, has been conquered.
Concord, that's a good way of putting it because, Emilio, how long have you lived now in the state of Texas?
Since 2007.
Okay, so we're coming up on 20 years. I think you're pretty close to being able to apply for your Texas citizenship. Has that happened yet?
Yeah, right.
We don't assimilate people that, especially Californians.
Yeah.
We don't assimilate people to the Texas and specifically give them the name of being a Texan.
Right.
Very easily. And I think the biggest problem that I see with this is that it's just happening at such a rapid pace. If all of these people that have, my specific suburb is probably 70% first generation or second generation immigrants. For one town, that's really, really hard to keep the American standard or the Texan standard of acclimation, of building a culture, inviting those cultures in to assimilate with us. We'll take a few things from them. They take, hopefully, a lot of things from us. But it seems like it's just happening in such singular locations. North Texas is a big one, that it's happening too quick for all that stuff, the assimilation to happen. And so therefore we're getting these pockets of isolationism, and they're starting to turn things into that city and try to develop that city that they were trying to develop before. I think the governor or the AG shut it down. What was it called? Victory City or
Epic City.
Epic City. There you go. So it's those kind of things. They're just, what we're seeing is isolationism, and then they're not becoming American citizens. They're still Muslims from whatever country they immigrated here from, and probably very likely legally, but they're not becoming American citizens. They've just geographically changed their location.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And for the first time, an American president, the United States President, Donald Trump, has at least acknowledged the problem that exists through immigration. Now, we have to understand that Donald Trump is still, as hard-hitting as Donald Trump is in your face. He just tells you the truth. Right? He just tells it like it is, at least. But he is still emphasizing illegal immigration as kind of the sole proprietor of what we're talking about today with population replacement, total demographic makeover, whatever, the Great Replacement Project, as people have called it. He's still using what I think is language that is still inadequate. It doesn't capture the totality of what is happening. And it is absolutely legal immigration that somehow, eventually, the West, if it wants to survive, is going to have to say at some point, maybe for a reprieve or we need to go to a year jubilee or something like that. We need to have a 10-year pause on all immigration whatsoever. Very important, because if not, this process, for reasons that we're going to talk about today in the talking points that I sent you, Micah, the West is not going to survive. And
right.
we are in big trouble in the West. For my entire life, your entire life, Micah, we have always been able to say the West, in a sense, under the common grace of God. Don't get confused, people. We'll get to all that, all the theology of it. But under the common grace of God, when you come home, let's say to America, maybe Europe to a lesser extent, but definitely America, and you've been abroad, you've been in a third world country, you've been in Africa, you've been in Latin America, you've been in Asia, wherever, and you come home to America, there is a sense of absolute safety and relief. And there's a sense of like, wow, say whatever you want about America. It's good to be an American. There are some real privileges and blessings and common grace blessings that come with being a citizen of this great country with all of its faults and failures. And it's not as easy. It's not a black and white thing. I mean, you've got, this country is not all bad, just like it definitely is not all good.
Right.
It is a mess. We're living in this present evil age. And there are expressions of justice and expressions of injustice. And so you can't look for some purist understanding of things like what does America symbolize to a Christian. We're going to actually get to all of that theologically, but that safety net, that firewall, in a sense, how much longer are we going to say that that's going to be intact? I don't know. I really do not know. All I know is to give one staggering statistic again. According to some experts, by 2050, okay, 1/3 of the entire population of the planet, by then, who knows, what, 10 billion, will be Muslim. 1/3 of the entire planet is Muslim by 2050, okay?
So we're talking like 3 billion Muslims.
There you go. By far, will be the most predominant religion in the world, sociologically speaking. It's something that we need to wrap our mind around. And so, but we're talking really about the West. We're talking about what's happening in our backyard, not just in Texas, but all over the place. But let's listen to this clip, Micah, real quick. Let me play this clip by President Trump talking to the Prime Minister of UK, Starmer, and saying something in front of him about Europe that has never been said by a politician in public, especially not in front of the spokesperson of the country. I mean, unbelievable. But as is his custom, Trump doesn't care. So let's hear what he says here.
That be the case, I congratulate you. That's exactly because Europe is a much different place than it was just 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And they've got to get their act together. If they don't, you're not going to have Europe anymore as you know it, and you can't do that. This is a magnificent part of the world, and you cannot ruin it. You cannot let people come in here illegally. And what happens is there'll be murderers, there'll be drug dealers, there'll be all sorts of things that other countries don't want. And they send them to you, and they send them to us, and you've got to stop them. And I hear that you've taken a very strong stand on immigration, and taking a strong stand on immigration is imperative.
Well, it's imperative, but at the same time, Micah, again, unless we're talking about immigration comprehensively, holistically, unless we're talking about immigration, both legal and illegal immigration, we're just not we're not going to really be talking about something that's going to make a difference. Yes, does it help to close the border so that illegal immigration doesn't happen at the rate that somebody like a psychotic Joe Biden administration just open the borders, they just come flooding in, right? And it's just total lawlessness, and lawlessness is ungodly. And it's unbiblical, and it's just there's no biblical precedence for that kind of radical sort of a thing. So that's
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility for us to completely shut down legal immigration for a time period. It's something that has been done in the past in America before, simply because of the fact of how pervasive illegal immigration was under the last administration, and honestly, under the 45th, under President Trump's time as the 45th president, it wasn't that bad compared to where it was, but it still wasn't great. Up until just this last one, the current administration right now, where we've literally gotten down to, there were 7 people that tried to cross the border this month. Those are the kind of numbers we need to see for a long term, but there's no reason why we shouldn't be saying hey, let's take a pause and let's not even do legal immigration for a time period.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I wanted to just throw up this graphic.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
And look at this beautiful. Those are not like wildfires.
Wait, is this the San Francisco map of feces found on the street? No?
Definitely not. Oh, wow, look at that. It does zoom in. Okay, cool. No, but if you see those little dots, the reason they look like little churches or little houses or little building, those are mosques in the Deutschland. Those are mosques in Germany. And you can multiply this image to all the other countries in Europe. And what you would find is that all over Europe, with some very rare exceptions, this is a map of the mosques that you will find throughout Europe and the European countries of how many mosques and how fast these mosques are going up all over Europe, to the point where Europe is becoming unrecognizable. And so, I mean, that right there is just staggering. It's just absolutely staggering. And if you did a map like this of all the mosques in New Jersey, it would look something like this. Because New Jersey, I don't know if I think it's New Jersey. Maybe you can ask AI. You have a digital agent by now, don't you, Micah? Aren't you? Aren't you flown in the digital agent yet? Who's your digital agent? What's his name?
I don't even have to type. I just think something and it appears on my screen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But if you asked AI to show you a map of New Jersey or California, I think those two are kind of leading the way for the biggest Muslim demographic population in the country. Houston, Texas, all the different states or all the different cities in Texas, not far behind. Florida as well, not far behind. We have an Islamic problem. And when I say we, I'm talking about us in this country as citizens of this nation that have to take our earthly citizenship serious. It's very sad. It's very serious, but that's where things stand. So
looking at going to my digital agent, we're talking like 300 mosques currently in the state of Texas.
More than that.
Well, I'm estimating
it's over 400 right now.
Oof. Then it's slow to catch up. In the year 2000, in the year 2000, there was less than 50.
Yeah.
So it's quadrupled whatever
10x.
the numbers are.
Yep.
10x of what it was 25 years ago. So the question is, what does that do to our population? Do we continue to be Americans? Do we still have the mindset of the West?
Smart. That is exactly the type of questions that we need to be asking. And let me just frame this, because I think it's impossible to avoid the theological question here, Micah. Mm-hmm. For those that have watched Red Grace Media for any length of time, you know that I am not a theonomist. I'm not a Reconstructionist, a Christian nationalist. I don't subscribe to any of those worldviews. I believe that you might find elements of truth in some of those things and what they're trying to say. It's never built on a complete set of lies or errors, right? There's always some truth to every system. That's why the system at least gets off the ground. Right. Even something like theonomy or postmillennialism is not devoid of arguments or substance, right? And I think that at a basic level, a Christian nationalist that's saying, hey, look, a predominantly Christian society is better than a predominantly Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist society, that I don't know who can disagree with that, right? But we have to answer the deeper theological question, and it's this. In Scripture, you take, for example, Philippians chapter 3, verse 20, there's no question that Scripture teaches that we have a dual citizenship, that we're citizens of the kingdom of this world, whatever state, nation that you're part of, but your true, as Paul would say, your true citizenship is in heaven. So we ultimately are ultimately citizens of the kingdom of God in Christ Jesus. And that's our true identity as Christians. But it does not relieve us of our earthly duties to also be responsible and to be engaged and to be intentional about our earthly citizenship as much as it is possible with us to do what's right. And so the children of Israel, right, when they were in Babylon, Jeremiah said, hey, look, yeah, you're in captivity. You're in a pagan country. You're surrounded by idols and pagans and all of this. So what do? The Jews had an idea to become, retreatists and just, we're just going to go hide in the corner. And the prophet Jeremiah, the word of the Lord came through Jeremiah and said, no, you don't do that. Go out into the city, build families, have children, get married, for lack of a better word, start a business, open up a business, right? Get engaged in the economy.
Right. Participate.
That's right. Strive for the good of the city, because as the city prospers, you will prosper as well. Mm-hmm. And so that's the basic principle of a dual citizenship, that we strive for this earthly city, even though it's not our true home.
Right.
And we do that knowing that there are things that are just right in the sight of all men, that there is under common grace, God has so wired this world that there is a sense in which we can, with our unbelieving fellow citizens, strive for justice, for equity, for peace, integrity in the culture, in politics, in economics. I tell you what, I'll give you an example, Micah. Did you see the guy in, I think it was Michigan, went around stabbing people at Walmart? He stabbed a bunch of people.
Yeah,
well,
good guy with a gun.
Yeah, well, guess who jumped into action? Everybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the Christians. So that's common grace kind of justice, where at the broad cultural level, you don't have to be a Christian to agree going around stabbing people randomly is evil, and the social consciousness of any rational civilization will know that you have to stop that threat as soon as possible. And we'll argue later about who's right about theology or religion or ethics or what have you. But right now, I'm going to stand behind this guy with a gun until we stop that guy,
right?
Because it might be your child that he stabs next.
Right.
And so at the same, in the very same way, we have to acknowledge that not all worldviews are created equal. It's that simple. It's like, Mr. President, or whoever's close to the president, or whoever can get to the president, recognize Speaker Johnson. Supposedly he's a Christian. Mm-hmm. Wake up. Not all worldviews are created equal. Islam, unlike any religion in the world, has a divine mandate to conquer the world for Allah. And in the Quran, it repeatedly stresses this idea that jihad, the Muslims are to fight in the way of Allah until there is no religion except Allah, except Islam.
That doesn't sound very peaceful.
Yeah, it's not a peaceful religion.
I thought it was the
religion of peace. Yeah, the religion of peace. More like the religion of pieces. They'll leave you in pieces by the time they're done.
Right.
Sadly. And if you look at the Muslim sources, you look at the Sunnah, the example of Muhammad, you can go to the Sunnah and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of references of Muhammad's violence against nomadic tribes and others and polytheists and pagans in the area, forcefully trying to get them to convert to Islam. And the same thing with the hadith literature. Abu Bakr's, Sahih al-Bukhari and his hadith literature, I think it's volume 4 of the hadith, where again, you have hundreds of references to jihad, to violence. And it does no good whatsoever to say, oh, these were just Muslims that were oppressed. These were Muslims that were just, they had to defend themselves, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely not. The Quran itself teaches that there will be a worldwide ummah, a community of Muslims. The ummah of the Islamic faith will take over the whole world. The whole world will be the house of Islam. And if it's not, it will be the house of war, period. No middle ground, no in between. And I'm sorry, my friends, to interrupt your entertainment for the night. I'm sorry that I interrupted the ball game. I'm sorry that I interrupted your, favorite sitcom or whatever. Okay, but that's part of the problem. It's slowly but surely, isn't it? And I send you in our talking points, Micah. It's like the frog in the boiling pot.
Yeah.
Here we are. And you're going to Costco, and you're going to the mall, and you're going to the grocery store, and you're going outside of your neighborhood. And before you know it, you're not living in Texas. You're living in Texastan. You're not living in California. You're living in Californistan. And little by little, the entire demographic of your country is changing. White flight obtains, and the white man moves out of suburban areas further and further out to the country. But guess what? Eventually, there's nowhere to flight.
Right.
There's nowhere to go. We can't all live in Boise, Idaho. I mean, we can't all flee to Nebraska. Okay? And guess what? All the rural communities, guess who's buying swaths of land? Wealthy Middle Eastern investors. This is a serious invasion.
Right.
And we have to decide as a country, is the Muslim worldview worth allowing for it to predominate in American Western culture? And I would have to be, at this point, I would have to be a apologist against Islam / activist for a pro-American, pro-Western kind of democracy, instead of a Sharia compromised political scene where you have Sharia elements in the culture. Europe is already reeling from this. They literally have in Europe kind of underground Sharia courts where they're deciding legal matters between marriages and contracts between Muslims.
Yeah,
all the while
about to ask-
operating right under the nose of the politicians and the authorities and the police. It's happening.
I was just about to ask that question: is what's the likelihood of that actually going on in our neighborhood where we sit right here in North Texas? Yeah, it's great. I don't have as big of a concern of it happening in Germany because we beat them in a world war, 100 years ago. So what does it matter? But look, it's not been 100 years; it's been 80 years. But it's happening under our nose, and we can go back to a story that you told me many months ago, where you went and spoke with a state rep, mentioned all of these issues, and he's like, "Who is a brother in Christ?" And his was like, "Well,
It
they're
just
all
blew me
welcome."
off. Blew me
Just
off.
blew you off.
Just like I was talking gibberish.
Yeah.
And yet I can tell by the expressions on his face, I can tell by how tense he got, that he knows exactly that what I was telling him was the truth, but it doesn't play well in politics right now.
Right.
I got news for everybody out there. MAGA is not enough. MAGA is not enough.
And that could be said across the board on a lot of things.
Yes, and I don't want to get into a lot of things, but I will get into this issue.
But specifically for this,
But
MAGA is not
specifically
enough.
for this issue, to say, look, there is a serious national threat to Western culture via both illegal and legal immigration.
Right.
And part of that threat consists of a radical Islamo-fascist religious ideology and zeal to see the countries of the world, the cultures of the world become increasingly Islamicized. And I tell everybody should get your pastor this book, tell your pastor to read this book, to suck it up, to put on your big boy pants or whatever, and go and take the time and read Zaid Qutb, Milestones. Milestones is an Islamic professor. This guy's a doctor of Islamic law back in the 50s and 60s, who wrote a manual on jihad that was based strictly on the Quran, on the Sunnah, which is the example of Muhammad, and on the Hadith literature. And what he teaches in this book is very, very simple, Micah. It's in your talking points that I put down. The three stages of jihad, which are immigration, infiltration, domination. That's literally the way that he lines it out. And he says that's exactly what Muhammad did. That's what the original Muslims did. And if we want the whole world converted to Islam, that's what we're going to do. We're going to immigrate, and then we're going to infiltrate every area of the culture: politics, education, media, entertainment, the economy, physical assets like real estate, everything.
Right. So, first off, have you noticed that one of our local news anchors is now in the full Muslim garb? It's
I think I have. Is it a lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I that's an easy guess, but I
True.
think is she like a heavy set lady?
I don't recall.
I can't remember. Okay, right.
It was one of those things that I immediately turned the channel because of that.
Yep.
But I think it's interesting just going through these steps of the terrorism thing. It did not work. They saw the repercussions of it, and we've seen a few breakouts here and there of violence, but nothing to the scale specifically of like a 9/11 kind of attack. But what I love here of what you've pointed out is the silent jihad,
Yeah.
which is the immigration.
Yep.
It is getting into our communities. I could not put my kids in public school right now and not try to go onto like the school board, because the entire school board is in my district is either Hindu or Muslim. And there's no Christian, very little Christian presence there anymore.
Yep.
So
100%.
they have infiltrated our communities.
There you go.
They're taking over. And what are they doing now? Dominating our
Local
communities.
elections. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
local elections. I bet you, Micah, you can identify with this. You're driving the street when the local elections are up. All the billboards they have all over the lawns and all over the
signs.
corners, and it's what is it? It's all Eastern last names.
Yep.
Right. You don't get Bob Smith running for office anymore
Right.
around here.
Right.
Okay. Look at what's happening right now in New York. They're getting ready to vote in, and there's a really good chance it's going to happen, that he's going to get elected.
Kind of hope it does.
Yes, this Islamic, communist, socialist,
Marxist, yeah.
Marxist nutcase.
Yeah.
And he's already calling for defunding the police, taking away guns. I mean, everything like that.
Let's see how that works.
Yeah, and again, guys, don't misunderstand. We don't put our hope in guns. We don't put our hope in the Second Amendment. We don't even put our hope in the First Amendment. We don't put our hope in the Constitution. We put our hope in Jesus Christ. But there is something happening on our watch in
that's a
our
great way.
generation. I don't care if we like it or if we don't like it. Like it or not. I'm sorry that it disrupts your trip to Starbucks. But there's something happening on your watch in your generation that is going to affect your children and their children. Somebody just posted a meme on X. I forgot who or what, but it was, sorry guys for the imagery, but it was this young little white girl and surrounded by radical Islamists. And it said, our grandchildren will never forgive us. And I'm sorry for the imagery, but go to Europe right now. Go look at the radical statistics on rape statistics, assault statistics. Women are literally not safe to walk down the street by themselves because they're importing people that come from countries that say you can just grab a woman off the street if she's not accompanied by a man. You just take her.
Fair game.
You can take her and rape her or beat her or try to make her your property. And these radical throwback type, Islamic, psychopaths are literally trying to just live out their lives like they did coming from Libya or Chad or Congo or wherever. Mm-hmm. And no one wants to talk about it. Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, he said he might run for president in Ireland. Why? He said because you will not have an Ireland to visit in just a few years. There will be no Ireland to visit.
Yeah.
It won't be here anymore.
Well, I think we can look at Turkey and look at Constantinople. Does that city even exist anymore?
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, one of the big church pillars of the early church is now a mosque. Was taken over. They renamed the city because it was too Christian.
Yeah, 100%.
It's going to happen.
And I mean, on X, you have repeatedly where you have, Muslims that are outside, praying at Muslim cathedrals, and they're just literally mocking the society. They're down in Times Square by the thousands of thousands, completely blocking traffic. Doesn't matter if you're on your way to the hospital. They're completely taking over downtown areas, and they are praying toward Mecca. And in doing that, they are literally mocking our culture, our countries. They're saying that they're taking dominion. They are taking over. They are dominating this society. Islam will conquer the West. That's what these prayers that are done in public. It just happened down here in Frisco, Dr. Pepper Center, the baseball stadium. I think they had 15,000 Muslims praying there.
That's terrifying.
And we keep on going to the ball game, going to the mall, going to Chick-fil-A, staying in our little Christian bubble. And listen, I'm right there. I'm not condemning the church. I'm not condemning anybody. I'm right there with you guys. I wish we could just relax. I wish I could just sit and study Voss and read Reformed theology and, read a commentary or read Bavinck or something like that.
Can you get to this? Can you do this? Can you finish this study?
Exactly. So,
well,
I mean, there's a statistic here. 500 mosques gather in London to pray.
Wait, 500 Muslims or
Mosques.
500 mosques?
Yeah, people coming from mosques all around,
500 mosques.
represented in a prayer meeting.
Wow.
Why can't they just pray inside? Because you're dealing with a theocracy. That's why. This is a retrograde, throwback society, incompatible with Western culture. As much as we don't like Western culture, as much as we might say Western culture is decadent, Western culture is irreligious, it's become liberal, it's progressive, it's postmodern, it's becoming whatever. It's ecumenical, whatever you want to say it is. It's materialistic, idolatrous, fine. But here's something, Micah, that we have to talk about. That when the domination part of it starts to happen in civilizations, what is happening is that you are losing basic human rights, basic religious rights, basic women's rights, freedom of speech, and that you're just not allowed to have those kinds of things anymore. You're losing those basic human rights that are congruent with common grace. Under common grace, You have basic human rights. You should be allowed to have some level of personal sovereignty where you can believe what you want to believe, you can live where you want to live, you can own what you want to own, but not under an Islamic dominated civilization. It's called dhimmitude. And dhimmitude is the idea of being under the oppression and control, and they would say protection, of an Islamic state where you have to pay the jizya tax in order to even function, to operate, to have a business, not to be molested or bothered or not to be beaten or abused. You pay the tax, you can survive. And that's your option. And that's what Muhammad did throughout all of Islamic Arabia, is he gave the pagans in that area, the Christians and whoever else, the Nestorians, whoever were there, he gave them the Caloridians, I mean, all of these, nomadic people groups, he gave them the option, either convert to Islam, pay the tax, or die. That's your option. And obviously a lot of people fled and died in the process. Many converted, and some ended up paying the jizya tax. So when you're thinking of this domination concept, and you mentioned, Micah, you mentioned silent jihad. But if you look at your talking points here under economic globalism, after domination, infiltration, domination, and economic globalism, what is happening right now in the world economically? Well, you have some very wealthy Muslim countries that are normalizing sort of economic relations with some of our most influential institutions of entertainment and investments and technology and you name it. The smart Muslims that are engaged in silent jihad, and part of that being what? Well, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and other places, Saudi Arabia, where they're doing what? They want to cozy up to the UFCs of the world. They want to cozy up to the golf league and create Live Golf. They want to cozy up to the drag racing world and offer you a alternative in a Muslim country with Muslim,
How about Disneyland
investors, and Disneyland is coming, right? And all of it is to normalize relationships, to normalize Islam until it's too late. Until everything has gone from being normalized to being monopolized. And now they own it all. They're part of it all, and they're not getting out of anything. And it's just going to increase. Some years ago, there was a geopolitical covenant called the Luna Covenant, where certain Latin states, South American states, signed up for a pro-Arab, pro-Palestinian, really ultimately anti-American type of economic treaty, where they got together and saying, look, we'll invest all of this Middle Eastern wealth into these Latin American countries, but you have to normalize ties with us, and you have to, at geopolitical levels, different summits and whatnot, you have to vote at the UN pro-Palestinian, pro-Islamic, those kinds of things. That's why I say silent jihad is a million times worse than violent jihad. A guy blowing up a building is one thing. Infiltrating an entire geopolitical, sector of the world.
Mm-hmm. Normalizing.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's a little bit different. And in recent years, I forgot what the statistics are right here in America, but you look at the number now of Muslim congressmen and women, senators, it's going up. at the local level, representatives, mayors, governors, it's going up. And we have been fed this multicultural lie,
Right.
especially because of liberalism and postmodernism and globalism, that what do they say? Our diversity is our strength.
Yes. Preach.
That's our strength. That's when we are the best. You know, what did Obama teach us, right? Diversity is how we are strong. So this brings up this. When you reached out to me today, Micah, I was like, okay, let's do it. And I thought, but we have to do it under this kind of this question: can the West fall?
It terrifies me to say this, but yes, absolutely. If we're looking, I would say 5 years ago, I would have said there's no way. But just in the last 5 years, and I think that we've been distracted by all of the woke nonsense that's been happening for the last 5 years, 6 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think the alphabet mafia and all the attack that's been happening in that regard, but I think that that's eased up to where we can kind of look up and realize, oh, we're not safe because we got rid of the woke ideology and the DEI and all that kind of stuff. We've got this other threat that's been quietly sneaking up on us the entire time, and we've just been too distracted to see it coming.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I don't know what it's going to take for the church to wake up again. I think we woke up for a moment. We woke up, 9/11 happened, we woke up.
Yeah.
Everybody was writing their books on jihad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But here lately, in light of what? Technology coming up, Trump coming up, Tesla, COVID, all of this stuff that happened, we became distracted. We hit the snooze button.
Yeah.
We hit the snooze button. We want to go back to sleep. We want to act like, what? Okay, all right, so the world is horrific. We get it. We got it. When's the next Avengers movie coming out?
Oh.
And for the Christian church, we discovered
Left Behind movie.
Yeah, for the Christian church, and especially in our circles, in the Calvinist world, we discovered discernment ministries, and now every YouTube channel is about exposing the latest, prosperity preacher, and that sort of sewer level kind of discernment ministry.
Right.
That doesn't teach you anything. You don't learn theology. You don't actually come to learn more doctrine. You don't refine your theology. Nothing. You just learn how to critique something or expose something outlandish and think that you've done heavy apologetics when all you've done is become the, sensational shock jock, Howard Stern of the Christian faith. It's just we've done too much of that. Right. And that stuff is not real world stuff. That's quackery. That's fringe nonsense. We get it. We understand it's a problem. But we have a little bit of a slightly bigger problem. It's kind of like you're on a boat and you're trying to fix this leak and you're kind of bonding it and you're trying to fix it up. And a guy's over here going, excuse me, our rudder just shut off and like the back door of the boat's about to open up. And you're over here trying to fix this leak. We're all about to die in a second. But nobody wants to focus on this stuff. We want to have another huge mega Christian conference, but we don't want to talk about Islam, globalism, transhumanism, AI that completely is going to threaten everything that we know about sociology and ethics and the image of God issues and all of that. And yet here we are just running circles and just, preaching in a vacuum, preaching in the choir, preaching to the same 10 people every week, the same 10 things, the 5 points of Calvinism over and over and over again. It's like, I'm sorry, but the time has come to call for something else to be our focus henceforth. And I think that if we turn our gaze back at the worldview level, what we're finding is somebody like Peter Jones has been prophesying to us for decades, telling us the East is coming. The East is coming. It is coming in a way that you won't even believe. And now it's partially here. Can you imagine in 25 years? I mean,
right. Well, and I don't have that much concern for myself, but I have daughters.
you got kids. We got kids. I have a
you have
daughter.
kids.
We have kids. They're going to have kids. Like
them. What are we leaving them?
We do. We absolutely do. And we as Christians, we can't be so selfish that all we're doing is just focusing in on perfecting our neat little theology that we love. And Micah, I'm glad you're here tonight because I know that you would vouch. I love theology. I work on theology. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have given my life for theology. But I know that I cannot just nestle up to a nice hot cup of coffee and grab my books and cozy up next to the fire when there are hordes of enemies outside that are literally threatening the very fabric of our society and the very existence of our witness in this country. And if I just sit down and turn the page and go to the next book, it just feels radically irresponsible and reckless. And it just doesn't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in these last days. And we need a new movement. I don't care. We need a new voice. We need a new pastor. We need a new theologian. We need a new a new visionary to really trumpet and to let out a clarion call and to tell us what is the way forward right now. Because it's not 1995. It's not 2003. John Piper, he came and he's almost off. We just saw MacArthur go to be with the Lord. R.C. Sproul has gone to be with the Lord. This is a new day in the Christian church. And we're losing voices.
Yeah.
We're losing voices, good ones. Steve Lawson, gone. Art Azurdia, gone. What is going on?
Yeah.
Who's left? Josh Bice, gone. Where are we going from here? So it's concerning. And I don't hear a real clear voice in the wilderness right now.
So Emilio, what would be your prescription on a spiritual level, on a theology level, on a church level for the church? What would be your 3 steps? I don't know.
Oh boy. I think we need to take advantage of Herman Bavinck. Mm-hmm. The wonderful works of God needs to become our new Wayne Grudem in the church, because I think that Bavinck was a visionary. I think he's a prophetic voice in the Calvinist world because he had foresight. He saw into the future. He cared about the future generations. And then from there, we can go to his newly released Reformed Ethics that just came out and his Reformed Dogmatics. At the apologetics level, we have serious work to do. We have Reformed presuppositional apologetics men that are putting out volumes, and 10% of that actually interacts with the real world. Most of it interacts with academia. Most of it interacts with the few guys that can even understand what they're talking about. Right. And that happens to be the theology I love, and I excel at those kinds of things. But 99% of the body of Christ doesn't even know what you're talking about. Okay, right. I'm guilty of this. This is one of my number one criticisms is that some of your stuff is too complicated. It's too technical, right? It's not for mass consumption. I get it. So we desperately need somebody. Huh?
I say that in love.
Yeah, I know you do. But we desperately need somebody that can combine the insights of Peter Jones,
right?
Combine the insights of a Greg Bonson, combine the insights of an Abraham Kuyper, maybe. Kuyper, though, I have my own issues there, but still, it's an attempt to say, Christ is relevant everywhere. And I'll tell you who that voice is not. That voice is not conservative Catholics on YouTube. That voice is not Jordan Peterson. That voice is not Joe Rogan because he's going to church now. That choice is not Alex Jones because from one side of his mouth he says Jesus Christ, but from the other side of his mouth he cusses like a sailor and he's talking about Jungian psychology and the fact that we're one with the universe. No, absolutely not. That those cannot be our voices. And so popular, cultural, conservative, talking heads and pundits, those are not our voices. I am talking, Micah, I am talking about the elect church of God. Yeah. I am not talking about Walmart Christianity, Oprah Winfrey level Christianity, okay? I am talking about serious biblical Christianity. John MacArthur has just gone to be with the Lord. Who's going to take his place? I don't know. They've announced whoever's next, Riccardi, Duncan, I don't know who's next, but whoever's next had better not be worried about John MacArthur and how he measures up. Mm-hmm. That better not be his obsession at night. He had better be obsessed with what are we going to do for the future? What are we going to do for the future of the church? And stop and stop just focusing on fine exposition, verse by verse exegesis of Scripture. We can do all of that, but we need someone that can speak with penetrating insight into the ethics of the Christian church today and moving forward. And if we don't get that, we're in substantial trouble. I mean, God will always have his witness. God will always have a voice, a witness through the church, no matter how weak, no matter how feeble, no matter how imperfect. God will glorify himself through the American church. But the American church can become the European church. And the European church is really, really, really weak. Mm-hmm. And the European church, I know multiple pastors that are ministering in Europe, and it is, man, I got one buddy, he's trying to do a biblical church. He's doing the best job he can. Went to seminary, got a degree, wants to do verse-by-verse preaching. He wants to teach theology. He's got 8 people coming in France. He's happy to have 12 people. So we can go that way in America. These superficial, man-centered, watered-down churches can empty out as fast as they filled up.
Right.
And if we don't start speaking with substance and reclaiming a total Christian worldview, we're going to have serious problems moving forward. So I don't know. I'm glad we talked about some of that, Micah, because I don't just want to end it with Islam is coming, Hinduism is coming, and oh no, what do we do? It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to mobilize. It's time for us to get equipped. It's time for us to re-engage. It's time for us to repent and to get back to where we're supposed to be, being a living witness. Who cares if evangelism is not trendy anymore? Who cares if open-air preaching is not trendy anymore? Who cares if street evangelism is not trendy anymore? We still have to engage in it because it's biblical, not because it's trendy or cool or popular. You see? And my wife's been trying to get me back on the streets and back preaching, but for those of you that might have heard me say this before, but after double pneumonia, I tell you what, man, getting up for 4 hours in open air preaching is a little bit scary for me right now. So I still haven't had the courage to get up there, but I'm all for equipping. I'm all for launching. I'm all for sending, 100%.
Yeah. Well, the thing I didn't tell you is that I was met on my Costco trip this afternoon with multiple fronts of just cultish behavior, because as I was leaving and walking to the checkout or the line where they check your receipt off, nothing but 6, 7, 8 Mormon missionaries standing there after having gotten their little slice of pizza, just to go off and be missionaries in our suburb.
Yep.
Like it's coming at us from every single angle. And
Every angle.
Some of it is scary as all get out, and some of it has a really, really pretty smile.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
a white crisp shirt.
Yep. Yeah. And so we can only tackle these things one at a time, but we have to tackle it nonetheless. So
Right.
anyway, well, great. Good. I'm glad you called me. See what happens when you text me like that?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. It was kind of a mistake. I'm looking back on it now. I shouldn't have done that.
Did the Matthew Barrett episode come out?
Yes.
Yeah,
It
okay, so
should've-
that's
it
out. That's
should've
great.
dropped.
Okay,
just
good.
before this one did. So.
Good. Did you get Gene that new audio file for Reform Path? You got to do that.
Why are you airing all our dirty?
We got.
laundry?
Yeah, sorry. I gotta put you on the spot. This is my secret weapon. How we get things done.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, end recording.
Time has expired. Well, good. Lots of fun. We'll do another one here real soon and tackle something else. But Micah,
was a good
appreciate it, brother.
conversation.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.